Hello. Today we'll take a look at three methods on how to write the new pandas data frame column based on existing columns, and why you might want to use one method over the other. Consider that we have a pandas data frame consisting of students and their marks from the exam. And based on the mark, we want to write the new column if the student passed the exam or not. Let's consider if the score is more than 50, the student passed the exam, and if it's less than 50, the student did not pass the exam. Let's first consider the conceptually simplest approach of using DataFrame.apply. We will write a simple function that takes the mark, not the column, just the mark, as in a single row or a single item. And if the mark is more than 50, it returns true, and if it's less than 50, it returns false. We can also check that it does indeed yield the expected output. Next, we will access the mark column, and we will apply the function we have just created to that mark column. So we will access the apply method and apply the getPassed function. Notice how we don't pass any arguments into here. It knows that it has to act on the mark column and take the arguments from that mark column. When we press enter, we overwrite the mark column, but we don't save it to the data frame. And what we really want to do is we want to define a new column. So let's do it. Let's define a new column. Let's define this column as daily as passed. And now when we press enter, we have added a new column called passed, which shows us true if the marks are above 50 and shows us false if the marks are below 50. Applying a def function is very useful if we need to apply a lot of logic to the data frame column. But given that in this case it's just 3 lines of logic, we can also resort to using a lambda function instead. Similarly to before, we will access the mark column of the data frame. And then we'll use the apply method and apply a lambda function. Lambda function takes the element on which we're acting, so that is an element in the mark column, and it checks if the element is bigger or equal to 50. And this will evaluate either to true or false, and all of that gets written to the new column we're defining, the passed column. And when running this code, the new column passed shows up just as before, but this time with only one line of code. So far, we have only considered cases where the function we need to apply to the data frame column is super light. We can just apply the function. Let's comment this line out. And it runs pretty much instantly. But let's consider the case where the function actually takes a lot of time. And then the execution just keeps going and going and going. And we're pretty much blind to how long it will take. It can take 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours. We don't really want to be in that position where we don't know how long this process will take. As an alternative, we can use the iterRows method of the data frame and iterate over the rows of the data frame. So we access inside a for loop the index of the row and the row itself. Just to visualize how we're doing, we print the index. Then we access the mark value of that row, put it through the getPassed function, get the value, and then append it to the passed values list, which gets written in the end this new column outside of this loop. Let's comment out this bit of code and let's run it. And now you can see that at each and every iteration, we are writing the index to kind of gauge how long it will take. Printing the index at each iteration is not the best way to go about things. A better way would be to import tqdm, which is a progress bar function, and use that to wrap the iterRows method. This also takes in a total argument, which we can put equal to the number of rows in the data frame. So DataFrame.shape.0 for the length or the number of rows in the data frame, And now, when we press enter, we get a very nice progress bar which shows how many rows we have already iterated over, how fast the iterations are, and how long it projects this will take. And that's all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe.